Erev Tov Rabbi Say, this evening we are arriving at the midah of Gvura Shebantzach, of strength and discipline within the world of eternity and within the world of victory. And it's worth noting, we didn't mention it yet yesterday, as we began the week of Netzach, but the midah of Netzach is the midah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the character that Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, has all of the midas. All of the Shivarim have all of the midas, but Moshe Rabbeinu is paradigmatic of the midah of Netzach. Chazal tell us that everything that Moshe Rabbeinu did was la Netzach. Everything that Moshe Rabbeinu did, everything that Moshe Rabbeinu achieved in his life was la Netzach. Moshe Rabbeinu was originally told that he would have all three of the Ksarim, all three crowns, like the Mishnah Nava says. There's a Keser Torah, a Keser Kahuna, and a Keser Malchus. And then Malchus was taken away from Moshe, was given to, he was the Melech while he was alive, but Malchus was not his to give to his children. He was a Kohen Gadol during his life, but that was not his to give to his children either. What Moshe Rabbeinu did have was Torah. And of the three Ksarim, of Torah, Kahuna, and Malchus, the one that is La Netzach, that never ever ceases, is Keser Torah. This is what we point out in the kinos of Tisha B'Av and the slichos of Yom Kippurim. Ve'ein shir rak haTorah zos. Of the world of Beis Hamikdash and the sovereignty of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world and the dreams of the future, the only thing that we have is Dal Mashal Halacha, meaning that's the place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is 100% present, just like he always was. The rest of the world, the Shekhinah is in Golus. We don't always feel HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence. We don't have Malchus, we don't have Kahuna. We have Torah. That's what we have, because that is the midah of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Chazal say that if Moshe Rabbeinu would have taken Klal Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael, if he would have built the Beis Hamikdash, then we would always have stayed in Eretz Yisrael. And the Beis Hamikdash would always have persisted. We wouldn't have been able to go into Galus. And the Beis Hamikdash would always have stood. Which means that were it to be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to punish the Jewish people, it would have been the end of the story. Because that which Moshe Rabbeinu created, the Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, the Jewish people, it cannot be undone. That's La Netzach. And the Beis Hamikdash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't have been able to destroy. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, everything that he did was La Netzach. Chazal point out that Atzei Shittim Omdin, that the pillars, the beams of the Beis Hamikdash are still standing, that the Mishkan of Moshe Rabbeinu never rotted, never fell into any disrepair or decay. They never needed a Berek HaBayis. They never needed to fundraise for it. Because the Mishkan of Moshe Rabbeinu was La Netzach. How did Moshe Rabbeinu achieve all of these illustrious midos and attributes? So that's our midah for this evening, which is the midah of Gvura Shebantzach. Moshe Rabbeinu, through the midas HaGvura, through exceptional discipline, through tremendous hard work and Yir Shamayim, Moshe Rabbeinu achieves nitzchis. He is constantly able to succeed, to persevere, and to continue. And this is pointed out in a number of places throughout the Torah, that the midah of Gvura Shebantzach, we've spoken about this once before, is contained within the pasuk Vayiru ha'am es Hashem ve'aminu b'Hashem u'Moshe Avda. That the people experienced Yir Shamayim and they believed in Moshe Rabbeinu. They saw who Moshe Rabbeinu was, like we pointed out from the B'dei Tshuva, that the Jewish people began to believe that such an individual, Moshe Rabbeinu, could exist. That it's possible to raise yourself to that level, and that comes through Yir Shamayim. It comes through hard work, and it comes through discipline, and it comes through an appreciation of the awesomeness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Moshe Rabbeinu was able to become somebody as a result of his incredible hard work and discipline. That is called Yir Shamayim, that brings the person to a place of eternity, of being able to be victorious. But the midah of Gvura Shebantzach, in terms of our own internal struggles and battles, the midah of Gvura Shebantzach is that our fight against our Yetzer Hara needs to be relentless. Means, in order to be menatzach, the Yetzer Hara, in order to win, a person needs to, every single day, to wake up with the intention, I'm going to battle, and I'm going to win. And that's going to require a strong sense of discipline. And a deep understanding of the fact that the Yetzer Haras that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given each and every one of us need to be overcome. And that's the tafkid that Hashem has given us. To beat that Yetzer Hara. That's your job in the world. You wake up in the morning, you have a Yetzer Hara, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, win that battle. And that requires Gvura. It requires a sense of awesomeness, of Yir Shamayim, of strength. The bracha of Oisei Yisrael B'Gvura, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the Jewish people the capacity to have Gvura, be able to say, with that, I'm going to be Menatzach, I'm going to win. That's in the world of Ben Adam L'Makom, Ben Adam La'atzmai. What about the world of Ben Adam L'Chaveroi? So, this is something that the Jewish people sometimes struggle with, and especially today, where we live in a world that likes to be politically correct and doesn't like to make too many waves, and everybody wants to be accepted. And all of those things are very positive things. But every now and then, somebody says something or does something that is antithetical to Torah and mitzvahs and to Yadus. Sometimes somebody says something that is upsetting to you on a very, very core root level. Says something Chalila against HaKadosh Baruch Hu or the Jewish people, the state of Israel. And you want to be menatzech, you want to yell at them, you want to prove them wrong. But do I really want to get involved in that? Do I really want to get? I'm gonna stick my neck into that. So sometimes the wise thing to do, if you know that it's not going to help and nobody's listening to them and they're screaming into a vacuum, is to walk away. But sometimes when you know that like somebody's opinion is all of a sudden carrying weight, and that there are now people that are listening to some Meshugana saying terrible things against HaKadosh Baruch Hu and against the Jewish people, against the state of Israel, against Chayei Tzvah Haganah Yisrael, the midah of Gvura Shebantzach is to be gover on your own desire to not deal with this and to be menatzach, to say, I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to say something. If you see something, say something. Meaning, for a long time, the Jewish people did not have the capacity to do so. Doing so was tantamount to suicide. If you said something, somebody insulted Torah and mitzvahs and so for a long time in Galus, for a Jew to stand up and say, no, you're wrong, for many, many years in many places, for many generations, that was suicide. You couldn't act with the midah of Gvura in order to be menatzach. But today, Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given Klal Yisrael and Medinas Yisrael and Tzvah Haganah Yisrael the capacity to stand up against our enemies, internal and external, and to be able to say, you're wrong. You're wrong. The thing that you say is incorrect. I disagree. And not to say, I humbly, no, you're wrong. To be able to say, with Kayach, with Gvura, to say the thing that you're saying is not emes. It's not true. It's not eternal. It's something that's sheker, and it's a delusion. And it cannot be tolerated. Cannot be tolerated. And you see this all over the internet. And all over the news and media and everything, genocide and it's not proportional. And give me a break. And Jews on college campuses that like get beaten up on the way to their classes, and then Gvura Shebantzach means to say something. To say this is not right, this is not batam, this is not the way that civil society should operate. What you're saying is sheker. And sometimes that requires a tremendous internal fortitude to say, I'm gonna be honest and I'm gonna be menatzach, even though I'm gonna be faced with opposition, because the opposite of that is not called chesed. The opposite of that is called sheker. So the avodah of Gvura Shebantzach is to be mechazik ourselves and to be mechazik each other. That when we see things, that we should look at each other and say, look, we should do something about this, because otherwise these things become inappropriate, these things become wrong. And this is true across the board. Sometimes you see people saying things against tzaddikim. Tzaddik, Rav, a Rebbe, that's, and you sit at a Shabbos table and they're ripping that head of school to pieces and saying things about that Rebbe and that Tzaddik. And he said, no, Gvura Shebantzach, you're wrong. It's making me uncomfortable to hear you say those things. Makes people upset, yeah.
So you said earlier, if it's not going to be received, you shouldn't do it. And now you're seeming to indicate that if it gets